So welcome to HxGN Hacks. My name is Rebecca, and I will be kicking off this week's session, but Katy will be presenting. Just a quick reminder, we will be hosting a HxGN Hacks session each Wednesday through June. And it's an opportunity for the team to share tips, perhaps highlight lesser known features, such as today's topic, offer best practices, and just answer general questions. If you have any requests or recommendations, definitely put those in the meeting chat. We do consider those. And if you want to refer to this later, we will be posting the recording to the Digital Thinker YouTube channel. So I will go ahead and put a link to that in the meeting chat. And if you know of anybody who you'd like to invite to these sessions, feel free to share the registration link. I will share that as well. And then without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn things over to Katy. Katy is a member of our consulting team and will be presenting today's topic.
Great. Thanks, Rebecca. So thanks for joining today. Today, I'm going to be going through how to use a prompt machine. So kind of just starting off, what is a prompt machine? Basically, it allows you to update records that are in a system status of approved. So let's say you have a PO that's approved, a work order that's closed, basically one of those approved or closed records. It allows you to update it without going through the approvals and status authorizations. It will trigger an update on the audit trail table if the field is audited, and then the user doesn't have to have those status authorizations that I mentioned, and you don't have to go through that reapproval process. So we're actually going to start off a little bit backwards, where I'm going to go through what it actually looks like to have or to create the transaction, and then we'll go through the steps to set it up. So if you look at my screen here, I'm sharing a purchase order that's been fully received. So notice how we can't edit anything on it. Let's say after the fact it's been received, I wanted to update the status on it for whatever reason. So to do that, the prompt machine allows you to do that. So under administration, and then data collection, and then prompt machine, I can select the transaction type. So we're going to go through how you create that. We're just doing this update PO header transaction. And then from here, I select the purchase order that I want to update. I'm just going to sort these in descending order. You can see I've done a few tests here. And then once I select that PO, I'm going to update the description. I'm going to say Katy update description. And then I'm going to save that. So notice I can actually update multiple records by doing this. So let's say there's two PO headers that I want to update. I can select both of those, add them to my prompt machine setup here. And then once I click process transactions and I go back to my purchase order screen,
Katy,
now you'll see that these updated.
Katy,
Yep.
can you select more than one record at a time?
When you're, you can only select one transaction type at a time, but you can add multiple PO numbers and update their description, yes.
No, I mean down below when you were selecting them, you can only select one at a time?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yep, you can only do one at a time. So then in that example, so now we have both of those POs descriptions have been updated. So going through the steps of this, I guess before I go through the steps, does anyone have any questions on kind of just what it is or what it does? No, okay.
Well, Katy, I'm just going to ask what you said is that this is for any, hold on. that this is for any transaction that is approved or closed. Is that correct?
Yes. So you could set it up for work orders, purchase orders, requisitions. You can set it up, for any entity, really. So the steps that we're going to go through, there are quite a few steps. Basically, first we're creating a new transaction, then we're creating a query for the lookup. So whenever we were selecting that purchase order, we do have to create that query ourselves. Then we create the actual data prompt items. That's basically setting up a field for each item that we're either updating or selecting on that prompt machine screen. Then you have to do a flex on R5 tracking data. And then lastly, you have to add the interface permission to the user group. So that's what actually gives the user access to update that transaction. So that being said, creating the transaction. So if y'all are all sysadmins, you're probably familiar with this, but it's under administration, setup, and then system codes. And then it's under the type for setup. And for the entity, we're doing TKTP. So that's just that transaction type. So I already created this one, but for my example, since we were doing the PO header, you just create a new user code. You do the system code as that track, TRAK, and then you have your description. So you want the description to be, the user is going to be seeing that and selecting it. So you want it to be, very obvious as far as what selecting that transaction is actually doing. So for instance, let's say if you were doing a prompt machine to update the PO line, you would want to make sure you specify update PO line item, that kind of thing. So that's the first step. After you do that, then you want to create any queries that you're going to need. So these queries just tie to the fields that you want them to select. So in my example, we did one for the purchase order. So notice in this query, I'm just selecting from the R5 orders table, and I'm limiting it to be any user group that logged in user has access to. And I'm limiting it to be any approved record. So that just, basically you're just tailoring exactly what it is you want it to show up in that lookup. So let's say you were having them update a PO line. You could also have a query for the line item, or you could just have them manually type in that line number that's associated with the purchase order. So, and two, when you're creating the query, I just want to point out this data collection needs to be checked. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to tie it to the transaction screen. So just make sure that you check that data collection checkbox. So then once you have the query created, then you go to administration, data collection, and DC transaction prompts. So this is where we're actually kind of setting up, I would say, the meat of the prompt machine, where you create one of these for each field on that prompt machine that we were on. So I'm going to show you guys the two that we created for the PO header. So think of these as each field that we're creating. So we have the first being the PO number that we're selecting. So we select that transaction type that we created earlier. So let's say if we were adding another one, so we'd want to select our POHR. And then notice that description fills in. So the line, I always just start this in increments of 10. That way, if you need to go back and add any, it's easy to do so. Then the data type, that's going to be the data of that field, the data type of that field that they're either selecting from or they're updating. So for the PO, it's a numeric field. And then in the description, that's a alphabetic field. So I'll just show you guys what we have here. So we have that as numeric, and then the prompt description. This is going to be what the end user actually sees. So you do want that to be, descriptive of what it is they're either selecting or updating. Prompt sequence, since this is the first data item that they're selecting, we want that to be 1. The next one is going to be 2. And then we just have the field length for minimum and maximum, since this is a numeric value. Since this is our selecting field, we want to have our query tied to this. This is what makes it where it'll have the magnifying glass next to the field, where you can select that purchase order from the query that we defined in our previous step. So once you create this, you would save it. And then next, you create the second field. So for this one, we're having them update the PO description. So we have that field label there. And then notice how we have the data type as alphabetic. Since it is that alphabetic type, the pattern match, we're just putting a % there. If you guys are ever struggling with kind of how to map these fields, you can just look at all the existing ones that are in here. So there's plenty of out of the box transaction types where just look at how they're set up, and you'll typically find what it is you're looking for. And then notice how on this one, we do not have a query code, since this is just a free text field that they're updating. So there's nothing that they need to select. We just want them to input what description that they want to update. So let's say you wanted them to have the ability to update multiple fields. You would just keep creating these transaction types. So let's say you wanted them to have the ability to update this, maybe the storeroom on it, or you want to be careful with some of the fields, though, as if there's receipts against them, you could kind of screw some things up. So definitely want to do testing in regards to that. But basically, you create this transaction type for any field that you want to give them the ability to update via that prompt machine. Okay, and then our second to last step is the flex rule. So this is just an R5 tracking data post insert flex. So this kind of ties into the theme of Victor. He did an org update presentation, I know, and Jordan did a tracking data. So it is kind of related to tracking data too, where basically you're grabbing those 2 records, and then you're updating that R5 orders table. So one thing with this is in your flex note, for this to work, the flex does have to remain active. So I always try to be descriptive in my flex comments of this needs to be active to be able to use the prompt machine, because it'll probably just need to stay active in your environment. And then once you have the flex, then our last step finally is to add it to the user group and via this interface permissions. So this is what gives that user group access to update that purchase order. And then you'll see that here. So I know that was a lot of steps. Does anyone have any questions on it?
Katy, just a quick question for you. So you did mention, so a couple weeks ago, Victor shared like one-time flex. What would you say would be the value of using this over the one-time flex? Is it because you could essentially just give the user group access to the prompt machine, rather than flex business rules? Is it the auditing as well? Is that?
Yeah, the auditing is a part, and just the end user being able to do this. You don't really have to, like, once the setup is complete, it's not a sysadmin that has to be doing that update. Someone at your actual location, as long as your query is set up properly, they would only be able to access their own records and make those updates themselves.